this afternoon. She is Kimberly Laska, who is Executive Director of Heritage Humane Society. She's occupied a number of leadership roles in nonprofit organizations, including the Red Cross and also Avalon here in town. She's a member of the Lead Historic Triangle class of 2015, which is how I came to know her. And she's here today to update us on the status of Heritage Humane Society. So welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't look at all the mean notes I wrote about this song.
I'll ignore those. Yeah, we do have a lot of stuff here. Can I hand it to you?
Yes,
Do you
absolutely.
mind? Sorry.
No, not at all.
Nice one, good though.
Thank you.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for inviting me. Normally I would have had a PowerPoint for you, but didn't have a whole lot of notice, so I'm sorry. I'm going to be reading a lot of this verbally. First of all, how many of you have ever adopted from Heritage Humane Society? Couple? Okay, how many of you have adopted elsewhere in the community or rescued pets? Wonderful, that's a lot. So, can anyone guess about how many animals come through our doors each year? Just 1,000. Good, keep going.
2,500?
Not quite, but we used to. About 9 years ago, we actually had about 3,500 animals that came through a year. We last year had about 1,400. So that is showing a couple of things. Number one, spaying and neutering pets works. It actually works scientifically, and it's helping with the number of animals in our community that needs help. This is the first year that we've actually been able to transfer animals in from other high-kill shelters to be able to give them a second chance at life and to be able to fill some of the needs that we have here in our community for particular types of animals. So, for example, we transferred in almost 40 small dogs, and most of them, within 4 or 5 days, they found their forever home because we have such a wait list for small dogs. We've never had the capacity to be able to do that before, and this is the first year we've actually transferred in kittens because we're managing our kitten population well enough that every animal that leaves our shelter, I can't say every, but about 97% of the animals that leave Heritage have already been spayed and neutered. It used to be that when you would adopt, you'd pay a $150 deposit. We would hope that you would do the right thing and go and spay and neuter your pet. If you did it, it was great, you get your deposit back. If you didn't, well, that's okay. You did the right thing because you gave a donation, essentially. Your deposit became a donation. Now, that animal is going to be spayed and neutered before you take it out of the building, so we can make sure that the cycle has stopped. And that's a really important part of managing the population numbers here in our community. Having said that, we still have a lot of animals that come in all the time. And I can tell you that on June 30th, it was Monday morning, and as we're all getting ready for the day, we had, I'm gonna look at my notes and make sure I get this just right. And that one particular day, we had a mother with 6 newborn kittens that came in from a local trailer park, all of which have survived and are in foster with one of our wonderful, wonderful fosters. We had 3 adult cats. 2 of them had come in because their owner had passed away and they hadn't made plans with anyone to take care of their cats, which happens a lot, almost every single week. We had a stray dog that was looking for his family, 3 owner surrender dogs. So in 7 hours, we had 14 homeless animals that joined our program. And that same day, we had 1 adoption. 1 adoption. So if you do the math on it, some days are better than others. We do have some days where we might have 9 adoptions, but I can tell you that before I left this morning, we had 8 puppies come in that were found on the side of the road with their mother. And ordinarily, people in a situation where they just don't know what to do or what resources are available, they try to do the right things for their pets as much as they can, but sometimes they don't know how easy it is to actually surrender an animal if they're in crisis and they need help. That's ordinarily when you're going to see cases of abandonment. Normally, people will bring them to the doors, and sometimes they'll tie them to the post in front of our shelter. They might not actually stay with them or bring them inside, but at least they'll get them in the vicinity of the Humane Society, which is obviously better for us than the alternative. There's a lot of questions about why are the numbers going down, and I can say this is happening throughout Hampton Roads. When all the shelters start working together and start having the same sort of vigilant spay-neuter efforts, the population numbers are going to decline because there's not breaches where people are just making the decision not to spay and neuter their pet. I can say honestly, looking at all of you, that the education that we're working on providing for our youth in our community is translating to the decisions they're making as potential adopters later in life. So we're gonna continue to put more and more effort into our education programs. We currently have animal camp going on, and last year we had over 100 campers that went through our camp program. They learned about everything from spay neuter to the Care Fund to all the different organizations that help support the animals here in our community. We have guest speakers that come in and they get to learn from a variety of different sources, whether it be animal control or retail pet owners or retail pet shop owners who can come in and talk about their programs and how you can make a difference in non-traditional ways. You don't necessarily have to adopt. You can foster a pet, or you can have a lemonade stand and give the proceeds back to the Humane Society. When I think about kind of our big picture right now and moving forward, what most people don't realize is we have to fundraise or generate through program revenue 93% of our operating budget. So most public shelters are underwritten entirely by citizens, by taxpayer dollars. We don't have that luxury. We are in the process of renegotiating our contracts. We are constantly trying to cut any expenses we possibly can. We operate a really efficient process. We have 21 staff members, which might sound like a lot, but we have about 215 active volunteers. We have auxiliary members that do our fundraising events, and they actually raise about $100,000 through the events that they do throughout the course of the year. And then the rest of it, we try to raise by going out and speaking to groups, by doing grants, by talking to individuals, by asking adopters to consider supporting us. And where we actually have the most success is people leaving a lot of their estates to us when they pass away. And it's through estate planning. And those who don't have children, I think, are tending to be a little bit more philanthropic with their end-of-life gifts because they know that they want a place for animals to be able to go. And it's a beautiful gift. We get between 4 and 5 bequests almost every year. So we have definitely appreciated that very, very much. And I think that the big picture of the program, we are always looking at more partnership opportunities and ways to get our message out, the ways to increase education in our community about animal awareness, about spay neuter, about adoption and how important it is to adopt instead of buy, and looking at ways to increase our bandwidth, if you will, so that more people are thinking about the Humane Society as a place they can go to become a volunteer or to get involved in making a difference in the community. We sent out something this year. We're trying new things because, of course, the cost of sending a printed newsletter is thousands and thousands of dollars. So we're doing some experimentation with doing more electronic newsletters. Not everyone likes that, and I am always open to feedback. But we are still going to be doing multiple publications throughout the year, but we're trying to do a monthly review. So anyone who's on our mail list recently received our end of year fiscal year recap. And we just focused on some of the major things that we've just completed. So for example, we had an Eagle Scout project that just finished last year, and he made 100 enrichment toys for the dogs in our programs. If you think about a dog who's in their kennel almost all day, they get 2 long walks a day, assuming that we have a lot of volunteers in and can do long walks. They get 2 staff walks every day. And then other than that, they are interacted with if someone comes in to meet them. And we try to do everything we can for enrichment, but mostly our staff is focused on the feeding, the cleaning, the medicating, and making sure that their basic needs are being met. So enrichment toys provide a way for the dogs in our program to have something to keep their brain stimulated. And that's really, really important. So that is our most recent Eagle Scout project, although we have about 5 that have been completed over the last 4 years. We recently received a grant from Lowe's. They're going to come in and actually fix our agility course and get a lot of maintenance type things done and help us with a little bit more opportunities than what we would normally have from the overall standpoint. And we're working with a local artist on having beautiful artwork throughout our entire facility. We got a grant to cover the cost of having canvases throughout. So if you've not ever been into the shelter, if you haven't been in recently, I really encourage you to just drive by, and I know a lot of people think it's too emotional. I will tell you that the animals in our care get a lot of love every single day, whether it's from our staff or the volunteers or community members that just come and spend time with them. It's really a beautiful place, and I know many people say I can't come because I would end up walking out with every animal in the facility. I can assure you we won't let you. We have very strict rules on how many animals you can leave with, and sometimes we work with you just a little bit, but no, our goal is to make sure that we provide the care that's needed to make sure that our pets are ready for their forever home. This last year, we decided to invest in a contract veterinarian. It's the first time we've been able to do that as an organization, and it's really done a lot of good for the animals in our care, just to have the consistency. And our local vet community has been wonderful over the years, but we need someone who's in the shelter multiple times every single week, laying eyes on every single animal and being able to make sure that the consistency is what they deserve. So when you're dealing with that many animals, you have to have, you know, a person who's familiar all the way through with their care at the shelter. So we're doing a lot of things to improve the facility, to improve the offerings for the community. We've just done renovation with our window rooms, so we have big dog spaces that we haven't had in a long time. We're trying to bring things up to code on all aspects of the program. So if you've not been in, please make sure and try to come by. And I'm going to take questions in just a second. I do want to say that we recently had 2 of our longest cat residents who went home over the last 2 weeks. One of them was a 14-year-old senior cat. 14 might not sound old, but for those of you who have cats, it's an older end of the spectrum. She has been in our program for almost a year and a half, and for her to be a senior and one that's been in the shelter for that long, the likelihood of her being adopted was a little bit slimmer, but we just kept hoping. 2 little boys under the age of 11 came in, and they wanted an old kitty that they could give a chance to, and she bonded with them. She was actually leash trained. She had a volunteer that every Monday would come and walk her all over the shelter, and that's how they first saw her. And Kitty went home. She went to our forever home, and it was such a wonderful day. So you'll actually see her in the Virginia Gazette today. One of our volunteers just did a press release saying, adopt a senior for a senior. It's too late because she's already gone home. But what a wonderful problem to have. So just know that we certainly adopt to all, and we try to find ways to be creative in how we're getting the word out. So we appreciate any help you can provide. And for golfers in the room, we do have a golf classic that I'm going to have some flyers up at the front. We have our golf event on September 21st. It is a Monday. But for those of you that maybe are retired or looking for corporate opportunities, it's a really big event for us, and it's at the Golden Horseshoe on the golf course. So we're trying something different this year, but we are really excited about the interest in the community. So thank you. And now I have time for just a couple of questions, I think, in your hand, Ms.
You mentioned dogs and cats. Do you handle any other types of animals?
We do. We currently have a bird, 9 guinea pigs, 2 rabbits, and a partridge in a pear tree. Yeah, we do. We have a collection. And a lot of people don't realize we do get all different types of animals. So if you were ever looking, we last year had a pig. It was one of the most interesting animals that we've ever had, is the line of people out the door to try to meet the pig. So we do. Come and check us out. Or always go to our website too. Yes.
When an owner has a mature dog
Yes.
that they have to give up, what are the odds that that dog would get a forever home from?
Pretty good. It depends on the health of the dog. If an animal comes in, we do a full workup on them. So they have a behavior assessment, a health assessment, the vet looks at them and makes sure that they're healthy. If they're deemed healthy and adoptable, then they go up for adoption. We'll do reduced adoption fees if it's a really senior dog. We also have hospice foster, which is kind of retirement foster. So we have people who are just wanting to add a wonderful end-of-life experience for an animal that probably doesn't have a lot of time left. There are times that they will be in our shelter for a very long time, and there might come a time where we just say, this is not an animal quality of life. If they're arthritic and their hips are hurting, they have to be in a kennel if they're with us. So we do try everything we can to put it out everywhere, like we do with any other dogs. But yeah, no, age doesn't factor in. It's health, and it's extreme health issues or extreme behavior. Over here.
I have 2 questions. One, where are you located?
Okay.
And 2, how large is your staff, your paid staff?
Sure. We are located actually in York County. We're on Waller Mill Road. So if you know where the historic Triangle building is, where Fish is located, I know you mentioned Fish earlier, we are back behind Fish, and it feels like you're going into a dead end. You pass Wallerville Elementary, we're right beyond that. And we're open from right now we're still doing noon to 4:30 every day but Thursday. But I do recommend that you check if you're coming in a strange hour. So that's where we're located. Our staff is 21. That varies depending on seasonality. So we will tend to trim down just a little bit. January, February, and March are our lightest animal months. We'll have less than 60 to 70 animals in the building during that time frame. starting in September all the way up through December, we'll have close to 200. So we have to add a little bit more seasonal staffing to help us. So it's a very seasonal business, but our core team of full-time staff is 11, and they are year-round. Most of us are 6 to 7 days a week, just to keep everything running. You're welcome.
How often do you get dogs that bite everybody?
Well,
And
I mean,
then
we
what do
are.
you do?
It depends on what the situation is. Animal control, we are a private public shelter. So for animals that come in on bite quarantine, oftentimes animal control doesn't actually release them for adoption. So if they come in and they've been deemed a dangerous dog, for example, it's usually in the court process. And sometimes we'll have a dog with us for up to 6 months while they go through the court hearings and the back and forth while the owner tries to get them back. In a situation where a dog has bitten their family, for example, we will look at the full story, we'll look at what their history was, and if this was a random thing, or if this was something that we then try to duplicate that behavior with, we have tools that we use. It's a fake arm, we try to see if it's a behavior that would reoccur, or if it was a situation, we had a family not so long ago that was using their 6-year-old to feed raw steaks to their dog. Just because they thought it was funny. They were using this as a teachable moment for all their other many children. So in a situation like that, it truly wasn't the dog's fault. But unfortunately, the bite was severe enough that this was something that record was gonna follow that dog around. And sometimes hard decisions are have to, and it's not the animal's fault. Almost every time, I will say, I don't think it's always the animal's fault. But because of what they had experienced in their life, sometimes our team has to make hard decisions too. We are not a no-kill facility. We are a very high live animal release facility, but because we're a private and public partner, we do not turn any animal away from our municipalities. So that's the main difference. If you hear, why aren't you no-kill? Because Peninsula SPCA just turned no-kill, or because Norfolk SPCA is no-kill. All of those have a public shelter that they work with. So the public shelter gets to take in all the behavior cases, the really sick, the elderly. They can take them in because they're in a different type of environment. We have both. We have private and public. So we take them all in and we still try to rehome as many as we possibly can. Great. Any other? Is that not a hand?
This new way of handling spay-neuter is different from when I adopted.
Yes.
Are those procedures done in the shelter? I mean, do you have a surgical suite there?
Not yet. We
Okay.
hope someday. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
So right now we work with Dr. Terry DeWitt. Williamsburg Vet Clinic is our contract vet. She does most of the surgeries. We also work with Virginia Beach SPCA. They have a neuter scooter that comes periodically to our shelters. Neuter scooter, yeah. So they come and we use them, we use their services, and then we also work with area vet clinics on occasional surgeries if we get backlogged. But, yeah.
Thank you so much, Kimberly.
You're welcome.
So, we give you, in honor of your visit,
Thank you.
first off, a certificate that we hope you put somewhere visible when everyone comes in.
Absolutely. Nice.
Suitable
Thank
for
you.
framing.
Framing,
And then also, it's a club tradition that we donate a book to the library. It will have your name in it. It doesn't right now,
It will.
but we make that promise to
That's
you.
great.
So we want to present that to you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And then, of
Alright.
course, we have to do the piece of it.
Done. You're good.
All right,
Alright.
good,
Alright.
awesome.
Well,
Thank
thank
so
you
much.
all very much.
We have one more task for you.
Okay.
You get to make
Full of
one
raffles?
friend, yep,
Yes.
and a room full of enemies.
I don't think that's.